Don't forget to subscribe, and turn the notifications. We upload daily, and check the source of this video to view all the images and videos if there was any. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption: North Korea's state broadcaster has begun reporting news of the impending Trump-Kim summit. The U.S. says its discussions with North Korea are moving more quickly than expected, ahead of the summit in Singapore on Tuesday. The preliminary talks between officials have been taking place ahead of the unprecedented first meeting. The White House also confirms that President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un will hold a one-on-one meeting, with only translators present. The outcome may determine the fate of North Korea's nuclear program. The U.S. insists it will accept nothing less than complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. North Korea has said it is willing to commit to denuclearization, but that term is open to interpretation. It is also unclear what concessions Pyongyang could demand in return, which makes the summit very hard to predict, according to analysts. The night before the big day. As night closed in, Mr. Kim made a tour of some city sights. He waved at spectators who cheered as he arrived to visit a high-end hotel. Singapore's Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan also tweeted a picture of them going jalan-jalan, a local term meaning to go out for a walk, in the gardens by the Bay Park. Mr. Kim and Mr. Trump are staying in separate hotels, not far from each other. Security is high across the area. The two leaders will meet on Tuesday at a hotel on Sentosa, a popular tourist island a few hundred meters off the main island of Singapore. Mr. Balakrishnan, who met Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim separately on Sunday evening, told the BBC that both leaders were feeling supremely confident. Mr. Trump has said he has a good feeling about Tuesday's much-anticipated summit. Mr. Balakrishnan confirmed that Singapore was paying for the North Korean delegation's stay, describing it as hospitality that we would have offered. What is the agenda? According to the White House, this is the plan for the summit. Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim initial greetings, 9 o'clock local time, 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, one-on-one meeting. Expanded meeting with other representatives. Working lunch. Mr. Trump will leave the country that same evening to return to the U.S. What has North Korea said? Highly unusually, North Korea's state-run media are already reporting on Mr. Kim's trip to Singapore to meet Mr. Trump. As a rule, they would only report on the leaders' movements after the event. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption: How to talk to North Korea, advice from 3 North Korean experts. An editorial in the Rodong Sinmun news outlet also talked about a new relationship with the U.S. What has the U.S. said? Mike Pompeo, Donald Trump's top diplomat, said the president was fully prepared for the meeting. He said the U.S. would be satisfied with nothing less than the complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, with verification a key part of any deal. The U.S. was prepared to offer certainty to North Korea so it could be comfortable that denuclearization isn't something that ends badly for them. He would not be drawn on what might be on offer. Why North Korea's comments matter. Analysis: Laura Bicker, BBC News, Singapore. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption: What should Donald Trump call Kim Jong-un? For decades, the U.S. has been North Korea's sworn enemy. There are even anti-American museums in Pyongyang. But the state is now trying to sell the idea of talking to what it once described as the incarnation of all sorts of evil, the empire of devils. And that was some of its milder language. In state news outlet Rodong Sinmun, an English-language editorial sells the summit as a chance to realize the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula and other issues of mutual concern, as required by the change era. It's the change era that is important. North Korea has spent decades building up a nuclear arsenal at great cost. Kim Jong-un needs to tell you his people why he's willing to negotiate. His New Year's speech, the one that kick-started this diplomatic process, was all about North Korea's strategy of building the economy, having achieved the goal of becoming a nuclear power. This has echoes of that. These pages in the paper are significant because they pave the way for a possible change in the state's message, and it helps those watching argue that this time with North Korea, things could be different. Read more from Laura: How Kim the Outcast became popular. How did we get here? The two leaders have had an extraordinary up-and-down relationship over the past 18 months. Mr. Trump's first year in office was marked by bitter exchanges between himself and Mr. Kim, as North Korea conducted several ballistic missile tests in defiance of the international community. The US president successfully sought to tighten UN sanctions on the North, and to get its traditional ally, China, to go along. He also famously vowed to unleash fire and fury if Pyongyang kept threatening the US. Mr. Kim has called him mentally deranged and doted. A defiant North Korea carried out its sixth nuclear test in September 2017. Soon after, Mr. Kim declared that his country had achieved its mission of becoming a nuclear state, with missiles that could reach the US. In early 2018, a remarkable turnaround in the relationship occurred. It started with significant diplomatic overtures from North Korea towards South Korea during the Winter Olympics. In March, Mr. Trump shocked the world by accepting an invitation from Mr. Kim to meet in person.